agree. Now, look, Peter Dutton has vowed to get the McPhillamys gold mine project up and running again if the coalition is elected, after, of course, it was blocked by Tanya Plibersek on Aboriginal cultural grounds. He's told the Daily Telegraph this was a shocking move which will potentially compromise other economic developments and with it increase our sovereign risk. Teena, he is right. What sort of a message are we sending to the resourcing industry if Labor has fluffed around on this matter, can't release the evidence apparently because of cultural significance? We're basically saying to investors, business, we're closed, don't bother.
Look, I was at Orange and Port Hedland, the Bush Summit with Sky was spectacular, did a spectacular job of. And that absolute fear of people in Orange in particular, where the gold mine isn't going ahead, they are livid, absolutely livid. And Peter Dutton is on the money, and he's not just doing it to win votes in that area, he is genuinely concerned about the resource sector in Australia. I mean, who looked after us during COVID and everything? Would be nothing without resources in this country. And I think Australians have to be reminded of that, you know, and I think he will make changes so this can never happen under Prime Ministership that he leads.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tanya, he's also keen to amend Indigenous heritage protection laws. And of course, we know that Tanya Plibersek in this case ignored the advice of the Orange Aboriginal Land Council and went to a small group of about 18 people, which is extraordinary. Do you think that these laws do need to be looked at?
Absolutely. There are plenty of loopholes that I'm sure need to be closed in this particular legislation. And look, it's a credit to Dutton I don't hold out much hope in the current Senate makeup. I'm sure, sadly, it'll probably be voted down. But look, it's a credit to Dutton for the disallowance motion, but also to look at amending this particular legislation. In the end, I think people are really tired of the sort of games that are being played behind that. I actually feel sorry for Indigenous Australians because I've got to say probably the vast majority of them don't even, you know, none of these laws are even helping their plight, right?
No.
None of it at all.
No.
You know, in the end, she didn't really care about the 18 people that signed this petition. I don't think it was that issue at all. She's got environmental groups and, you know, left-wing crusaders in her ear back in Sydney telling her, come on, you've got to take a stand against mining.
I tell you who was wonderful too was Chris Menz was also in Orange and he was fabulous. I mean, he really wants that mine to go ahead. He wants the revenue.
They've made it clear,
so he's
Tina,
very
they've made
sensible.
it clear. The Treasurer and the Premier, they've lost $200 million in royalties. That's money that could have gone to hospitals, to roads, to schools. So,
domestic violence.
And domestic violence. The people of New South Wales have lost out, as has Australia, and we've got to get the message out there.
Yes.
That Australia's open for business. We want people to invest into our resources.
Absolutely.
We can't have these ministers just going on a whim and not making any public comment, not providing anything to substantiate
not showing the
decisions.
evidence, absolutely nothing.
That's the biggest issue.
It's just extraordinary.
But ultimately, Tanika, it's not the legislation, it's who's the minister. Okay?
I completely agree.
People need to be reminded.
I totally agree.
Get rid of the minister and the government of the day.
Now look, Now look, I can't wait to get you guys your thoughts on this, because the government agency advising Anthony Albanese on climate change has suggested that Australians could eat less red meat to help reduce the nation's greenhouse gas emissions. The Climate Change Authority may not be able to give the PM advice on a 2035 target until after the election. So this is apparently the way to solve all the problems, Teena. So stop eating red meat, stop cooking with gas, drive an electric vehicle. Pretty boring, dull life. What do you think? I'm not going to resort to eating Skippy.
Matt Keane got bashed in Orange with a debate with Barnaby Joyce that Sky had on. If he thought he got whacked there, he'd better not put his head up now, because people love their red meat. They love their little lammy chops. They love their steak. This is just outrageous. But again, to make these insane statements, I think is great, because people realise how weird, what weird decisions are trying to be pushed onto the government, and the sooner we change the government, the better. Yeah, for sure. Tanya, is this going to stop you from eating red meat, do you think, to save the planet?
But I've got to say, look, what it does do, I hope, is actually make people question, why are we following these crazy, ludicrous net zero targets? This is, the Climate Change Authority is the chief body that's going to provide the details to the government of the day on how to reach these ludicrous targets. And the idea that they're now suggesting that people no longer buy, it's not just steaks, but the beef mince, that's probably the most common dish that families rely on when it comes to,
Sadly, that's all they can afford,
that's
really,
right, that's
in a lot
all
of
they can
households.
afford. I mean, even Bowen had to come out in defence of his rare steak today, and it was just too much. So, but I've got to remind people, Climate Change Authority new chair, Matt Keane, former Liberal, moderate, walked into the job. What's been announced? Hey, no more red meat for Australians.
Yep, correct. I mean, look, that is a worry. It's come from Matt Keane already, and we know that Matt Keane loves to be in the news. So here we go. Now, look, forget about expensive night creams and light masks. The best way to avoid premature ageing is to travel, and to travel well. According to a study by Edith Cowan University, travel could have positive health benefits, including slowing down the signs of ageing. There you go, Teena.
Maybe there's something to it. I spend a lot of time in a plane. I'm really old. So, maybe there's something to it, Danica, that travelling does help you stay more youthful.
Premature. It says premature ageing, apparently, Teena.
Then I'll keep on the move.
Keep going. Keep travelling. What do you think,
Depends
Tanya?
where you're travelling to. Maybe some ladies are travelling to places to get cheap plastic surgery. I don't know. But can I just
You can't get that in Port Hedland, let me tell you.
Oh, no, definitely not.
I think who resources these type of weird PhDs? That's my question.
Yes, it was a very odd PhD.
It's an odd PhD. Yes, travel probably makes people happier, and being happier tends to make you look and feel younger.
Yeah.
But look, a lot of things make you feel young. For those of you who can't afford to travel, going for a walk is just as great.
Well, look,
baking a cake, all right?
Have a good steak. Have a good steak.
Or have a good steak, exactly.
You can afford it.
Well, look, ladies, what I'll say is I'm going to try and get into the premature ageing. I'm off to the Bahamas. That's what I'll do. I won't be here next week, no. But look, you know what? Good on us. Let's travel more. Travelling is good for you. Tanya Plibersek, Teena McQueen, great to have you both on. Thank you so much for joining me.